Welcome to the Ingram Microcloud Monthly Podcast. We are all Microsoft SureStep BDMs working across the Microsoft Cloud Stack. My name is Martyn Hall, and I will allow my colleagues to introduce themselves now.
I'll let you go, Nicola.
I love that.
We all opened our mouths.
Together, didn't we?
Yeah, go on, you go.
So my name's Nicola Miller. I'm the Business Development Manager for the Modern Workplace in the SureStep team. Go on, Mike.
Yeah, my name's Mike Markey, and I'm also one of the Business Development Managers in the SureStep team with Modern Workplace.
Hi, my name is John Papadakis. I'm the Azure SureStep BDM.
Cool. So, Nicola, do you want to tell us, or rather than us, do you want to tell listeners what SureStep is?
Sure. So SureStep is a global program from Microsoft. So the team consists of our four lovely faces that you see today. So essentially our role is to help enable partners by supporting them through the Microsoft journey. And we act essentially in a parachute motion, dropping in not only to support with sales opportunities, but we can also help deliver training and enable you to be more effective to sell more.
Excellent. So this month we will be covering off all of the community call updates and just going into a little bit more detail around some points and giving you our views on those areas. I'm going to suggest that John goes first and talks about Azure.
Azure.
Yep, or light blue. That's fine. There is a lot of exciting news on Azure this month. Mainly the around Windows Virtual Desktop. So Windows Virtual Desktop is being renamed to Azure Virtual Desktop to reflect the infrastructure side of it. So it's Cloud VDI that works in Azure. I think it has been very successful the last year when Microsoft created Windows Virtual Desktop. No one expected the global pandemic and the lockdown, and everybody and all companies and employees should be working from home. So we had a lot of successful scenarios where Windows Virtual Desktop helped healthcare workers at the NHS, engineers, schools. Most of the schools were had to switch to remote, so that there should be some access to apps and infrastructure. So what's changing? A lot of new capabilities. One thing that's been in the pipeline for a long time and is still under development is enhanced support for Azure Active Directory. What is the case now is that in order to have the virtual desktop on the cloud, you usually have to replicate the domain controller. You can use AD Connect, but this will you have to sustain a VM on the cloud just for your domain controller. There are changes coming soon in public preview where this can be streamlined and everything can be authenticated through Azure Active Directory. So in some cases, you will not need a VM for your domain controller. That's really good news. That will really streamline and the process, reduce the cost and management. Another one that's really good news is we have been expecting that is you can now manage your Windows 10 multi-session images and virtual machines through Microsoft Endpoint Manager. So it's for partners that are used to use Endpoint Manager. It would be a familiar place to enroll devices, manage them, have an admin center for all shared physical device. And I think it's good news, especially for partners that are more capable and have more experience on the modern workplace side, it will really streamline the user and device management. Also, there's a new feature coming called Quick Start. It will be under the Quick Start tab on Azure, so you can deploy an Azure virtual desktop fast, let's say, faster than at least you can do at the moment. I think this is in the way of optimizing Windows Virtual Desktop. When it started October 2019, it was a very manual process, a lot of PowerShell. Then on spring last year, we had a major update with ARM templates, and now Microsoft is trying to automate deployment, automate management as much as possible. And the last and most important part, I would say, is there is a new pricing option for remote app streaming. So one of the amazing ways to use Windows Virtual Desktop is to create an app for your customers to use. So instead of the whole virtual desktop, let's say if a customer has an application that they don't want to use the whole 3-tier application architecture on Azure, like Sage, for example, and you need the app, you need the SQL Server. You can use just an app on WVD and offer stream this to your customers. There will be a new option added to be able to stream your app or a whole virtual desktop to non-employee users, external users. So you will still need to have the WVD license that comes with Business Premium E3.5, but you will have the option to stream outside of the domain of your customer to non-employees. There is a promotional period for that, and it will be up to the 1st of January. After the 1st of January, there will be a pricing of $550 per month for applications and $10 per month for apps and desktops. Yeah, that's it from my side.
John, just on the Windows Virtual Desktop name change, is there any date on when that's coming? Do we know?
It's already in place.
Right. Okay. It's that's pretty cool, because I don't know about everyone else. I've still been calling it Windows Virtual Desktop because I wasn't aware of a name change. So.
Amen.
So shall Modern Workplace go next, do we think, Martyn?
Well, do you want us? We normally go like first or second. Should we let Martyn go? Because I feel like Martyn always gets left to the end.
Yeah, I can go next. Why not?
I mean, you could save the best till last, is the way I thought.
Well, that means you gotta go next, isn't it?
Absolutely not.
So it's absolutely fine. I'll cover off.
It's nice to change it round, isn't it? You know.
Yeah. So it's quite good actually this month. There's a few things to update you guys on. One of the big things that came out was Powerapps developer plans. So I'll include the link on the YouTube description. But anyone that wants to develop Powerapps themselves, they can do. Previously, you used to have a community plan. There were some limitations on that. There's still limitations on developer plan, but it means that anyone within any organization can start creating Powerapps, and they've got all the access you'd expect to premium connectors. So if you want to connect to like SQL servers and stuff like that, absolutely go ahead and do that. If you want to connect it up to things like Twitter, awesome, go ahead and do that. There's some capacity limits on there. So you've got like a database size of 2 gig is the maximum you can have on there. And the only stipulation is you don't use it for commercial purposes. So as long as you're using it as a developer, as being internals for testing, great, carry on, use it. Which I think is pretty awesome, to be fair. There was also something, and this is probably something that we may not see huge partner involvement in, but we may get the odd one or two, and actually ties into modern work a little bit more. It's about M365 E5 developer subscriptions. So I don't know if Nicola or Mike, you've seen that.
I don't think that was covered on our community call this month.
It
wasn't.
No. You've given us a modern workplace update.
Here now.
Do you know what? It's not huge amounts of detail to it, but yeah, it's. I mean, they say get a free developer subscription, and you can sort of prototype the apps and solutions on a sandbox subscription by doing this. You get 25 user licenses for development purpose. You get access to the core M365 workloads with it as well. All the things you'd expect with the Office applications on top. The advanced threat protection, Power BI is in there, enterprise mobility, everything you'd expect from E5 is within there, but it's a sandbox environment to help you develop your own, as it says, developer subscription, but to develop your own solutions for customers. Which was quite nice, I thought.
Yeah, does sound like a nice package of services, if you like, to put into one.
Yeah. So if you're an MSP considering wrapping solutions around things like E5, it might be something you want to take a deeper look at, because it gives you your own unique perspective. You can build out a solution without trying it on a customer, so to speak.
Yep. What would you say the coding abilities would be like that you'd need to know in order to kind of put one of these together?
It's funny you say that, because the next bit I'm going to talk about is Powerapps.
Okay.
So Powerapps is essentially the coding language that is being used for Powerapps. So if we're talking about bundling M365 with Powerapps as a solution, Powerapps would be the language you use. And you don't necessarily have to use it as a language. You can use a very no-code approach where you're using the Canvas designer to develop your apps and be a full-screen pixel-perfect app. Powerapps is a language built on Excel as a formula-based language. So if you can write Excel functions, you can actually do Powerapps.
Okay.
Powerapps takes it a step further. It'll do a lot more than that. But if you understand how Excel works for it, you'll be pretty quick to take up Powerapps as a language. Even more interesting that came out from both community calls and from Build, the recent event Microsoft held, was the introduction of GPT-3 and Pros. I'm not going to tell you that I'm an expert in these things, because I'm really not. However, boil it down to very basics. GPT-3 is an open AI language understanding thing, let's call it, that will take sentences that you write in natural language and convert it to the programming language of Powerapps.
That's pretty cool.
So, Nicola, if, for instance, you wanted to write an app, right? I'm going to go out on a limb here and say you could not write Powerapps.
It's a bit rude.
All right. I said I'm going out on a limb.
You don't know what my capabilities are of building an app.
I'm guessing.
I've done a Power App platform course before. Sure, it's quite easy.
But what I'm suggesting is with something like GPT-3, you could write a sentence to say, if you click on this button, I want you to go to this screen.
Yeah. So it's more of like a hand-holding kind of guide, essentially. Yes. I'm only teasing, by the way.
I know.
Not that I would normally do that.
But there's also Pros as well, which has it develops a lot of different APIs, and there's actually some sample code on GitHub as well for it. That's actually built by Microsoft. So it's nice to see that everything's coming together to make Power Platform a much more developer friendly, and kind of getting to blue sky. You can have pro development on that as a platform now. One of the other things they actually announced was there's command line interface coming as well. So if you're talking about pro developers where they do package solutions, a lot of them will use command line interfaces to package things up and deploy. But there's also, if we're talking pro development here, there's Visual Studio extensions as well. So traditionally you'd see a lot of things developed in Visual Studio. That's now got extensions into Power Platform as well. And the last piece I was going to talk about was RPA Early Adopter Program. So I've mentioned, I don't know how many times now, but RPA, Robotic Process Automation. I've announced it, talked about it on this podcast loads. Microsoft are making a huge push on automation. Everywhere I seem to read articles, it's all about automation is key, drive efficiencies within organizations. And actually, Microsoft are going a step further to go, actually, we're going to run a program that we believe partners should become specialists in RPA. Similar to the Powerapps program, there is a Powerapps partner program, which you can get different funding from Microsoft in order to run training to other partners to generate some more leads as well. They're doing the same sort of thing with RPA. So I'm not going to bore you to details with the details of where to go and find all the specifics of that program, but it will be listed in the description. And that was the business applications update for you guys.
Very quick.
Was quite quick for business applications, wasn't it? It's normally quite a big
I thought
one.
You said you had quite a lot. I was expecting you to be going on a little bit longer. I'm not going to lie.
I guess by my quite a lot, it's really chunky topics, but I don't need to go into huge detail for you guys. But it's from a business applications world that actually it's more around Power Platform, which is great to see. We knew Power Platform was going to be massive growth this year. Microsoft's shouting about it all the time, but it's getting to that stage where this is now going from a fad of look what awesome little things you can do to actually, oh my god, we're talking enterprise scale here where you can do some really, really cool stuff with it.
So go on, John.
Martyn, what would you say would be the learning curve, the time to go from 0 to hero on Power Platform?
It's an interesting question, because if you're talking zero knowledge to I can build an app, there's a day. If you're talking zero as in can't do an app to pro development, that's a significantly longer period of time. So if we're looking at the MSPs that are working with SMBs an awful lot, you could pretty much say that within a day you can get a technical resource at your organization to go through Powerapps in a day and be able to build an app. To then implement it for a business case in an MSP, you're probably talking a couple of months there, depending on the complexity of what you're trying to deliver. My message to MSPs now is think about your business, think about your value add to your customers. How do you create an app or solution that keeps you unique, but gives you that repeatable IP that's very easy to deploy? It may be a case of you're managing licenses really effectively with your customer, but it's quite a manual process of how you manage those licenses with a customer. So are you then going to create a Power BI that sends an automatic report to say you've got 30 unused licenses on M365 Business Premium? Do you want to click here to request them to be deactivated for this month? And it sends an automated process back to your MSP that gets authorized by the MSP, and you've saved your customer some money. It's a blue sky world. It is ultimately, what can you imagine? What value add are you putting to your customers that makes them go, I really want to do business with you?
Yeah. Just trying to think of the saying then, but it's almost like the ceiling's as high as you want to make it, really, in that environment, Absolutely. Isn't it?
Yeah.
So
nice analogy there.
Yeah, cash rich if you get into it. So, no, that's really impressive. I like that.
Thanks, Mike.
Sorry.
I thought it was really impressive too.
Oh, it's too late, Nicola. Mike was first.
Shall we jump into Modern Workplace?
We might as well, mightn't we?
do we have a statistic?
We do have a statistic. You can't
What's
do
the
a
statistic?
can't do the podcast without a statistic. And it
How many
can't
daily
be-
active users on Teams?
Yes.
Is that genuinely what you're doing? Is a stat?
Yeah.
So remind us, what was the last figure we had for daily active users?
Okay. So the last figure we had was 125 million active daily users.
Okay. So we up to what, like 140 million?
Close.
Yeah,
Very, very
well,
close.
What about you, John? What's your prediction?
145.
Crystal ball.
Oh my God, he's been
100
reading.
You've been swatting up. So, so 145 active daily users on Teams. Now, one thing you've got to probably understand a little bit with this in terms of context is the fact that this is with countries actually going back into work. So Microsoft themselves are taking a hybrid approach effect with their 165,000 global employees that they have. So what they've done is actually written a hybrid work flexibility guide in terms of working. So it's still a growing number, even though people are still going back into the offices. So the adoption of Teams hasn't just been like a plaster, a band-aid, or whatever you want to call it. Whilst we've been through a pandemic, the continuation of use has actually carried on. So, but yeah, 145 million active daily users. They just can't be wrong, can they? That's all I was thinking.
Well, I think that number is probably going to go up quite significantly as well, hopefully anyway, because they also teased on our community call Teams for Consumer. So for you, your friends and your family. And I know that personally, that's something that I've, especially through the pandemic where we were trying to run quizzes and all kinds of stuff like that, I would have preferred to have used Teams as the platform for that, because I know it's secure and I know how it works, kind of thing. But yeah, it's so they've teased it. It's on its way.
So you can do Teams calling at home. So will be in the future.
From now, Mum will have to book a meeting in with me to sit on the couch and talk. is what it's saying.
I guess one for that. I mean, for selfishly looking at the business world, how do you manage then personal accounts on Works Teams? I know it's not one for us to discuss today because it's only an announcement and there's no roadmap to what it looks like right now. Mm-hmm. But that might be one that we cover off in a bit more detail in the future.
Funny you should say about roadmaps, Martyn. So there is a link, one of many that we do have, which you'll see in the description below. But if you typed in ak.ms/roadmap 4 Teams, so roadmap for Teams, there's actually 179 features which are in development right now and 64 rolling out. So Teams is forever evolving at the moment, and it's so impressive to see that, like, most of the feedback comes from you giving feedback to Microsoft. It's they're listening and they're constantly developing this platform, which is fantastic to see.
I have a funny story to share on this.
God, I love the story.
One of my favorite features is based on actual feedback I did give Microsoft. Whether they listened to mine directly or not, I have no idea. I'd like to think they did. And that's the fact that, when you resize Teams, it used to be that the camera, the view of the people on the cameras didn't resize to fit the shape. So if you made it a very narrow portrait view, it wouldn't stack
like the whole
it wouldn't stack people on top of each other. It would still be a grid of 4, as in 2 by 2, just very, very narrow picture frames.
Do you think you might be the only person?
I'm a sad geek.
No. Do you think you're the only one that picked it up?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I was going to say I haven't noticed it, but I haven't been looking out for it. But I'm definitely going to start resizing my Teams and see.
Well, no, it's fixed now. That's what he's saying. Is sorted out.
It's fixed now, so it'll stack. It'll stack
everything. That's what he's saying. Martyn single-handedly fixed this issue.
I fixed Teams.
There we go.
Look.
That's why we've got 145 billion active daily users because of Martyn fixed the size of aperture size.
That's pretty cool. So statistic out the way, roadmap done.
Security.
Yeah, Microsoft have been announced as having a couple more leadership statuses in multiple Magic Quadrants. So last time we spoke a little bit about Gartner. This time it's branched into Forrester as well. And those areas that they've kind of been announced as a leader now, you're looking at endpoint protection, cloud security gateways, unstructured data security platforms, and endpoint security software as a service. Couple of ones to get your mouth around there, but I know it was heavily into the enterprise grade email security last time, but yeah, really just dipping into more and more buckets, which is really impressive to see, I think.
And the thing is with it, it's also the fact that it's not just Gartner. So as our role, we talk about Gartner's Magic Quadrants quite a lot. In terms of leader of 5 of them, in terms of the fact that we've got Forrester as well, it kind of adds another dimension to actually the recognition that we're receiving when it comes down to security and how serious Microsoft are taking security, and how that pushes through. That's not going to go away. That's only going to be, the message is going to carry on with that, and all the information that we're getting from Microsoft with Defender masterclasses, compliancy at speeds, all these events that are happening, are just really taking it to a whole new level when it comes down to security. I don't see currently any other security vendor really opening up themselves in terms of inviting people in to have red versus blue battles essentially, and trying to catch each other out and everything. It's really good to see the fact that how seriously we're taking it. So that's really a message that's not going to go away over the next year. I would say It's only going to be more and more and more.
Yeah, it's and there's the Defender masterclasses which are coming up. Now they're all kind of webinar series, if you like, live workshops, but your normal webinar, if you like, would be half an hour to an hour. These are 15 minutes, 30 minutes tops. So really bite-sized chunks of information for you to kind of engage with. And to capture the flag one, where you're saying the reds versus blues, they've also got to capture the flag as well. I've never done one personally. I wouldn't mind jumping in. I don't think I'd do very well, but it's experience.
Well, it's a simulated attack, isn't it? And it's understanding it, but it's also, but what it's doing is bringing yourselves into the whole mix and actually inviting you into here, and with these security architects from Microsoft, and making sure that actually, do you know what, this isn't just something that's kept in house. We want to see how people go about and how they would tackle these attacks or defend these attacks essentially.
Yeah. So the next one that we had was around the Cloud Accelerator program. So do you have the information on this one, Nicola, or do you want me to carry on with it? You
can carry on with it, because I know that you've been picking up with Microsoft this week about it. So
yeah, I've had a little conversation with them backwards and forwards, speed dial on my mobile and things. But essentially, this is partner focused to the end user, and the Microsoft have put promotion on it at the moment. And essentially, if you're enabling and taking your customers through the Cloud Accelerator program, there's an incentive up until the end of June to kind of try and get these workshops and programs finished before the end of the year. And with regards to the incentive, it's taking your payment up from, say, $3,500 to $5,000 in some cases, which is definitely adding, additional revenue into there. There's multiple different workloads which it spreads across, be it Active Directory, Teams calling, Teams meeting. There's quite a lot of information on there. But if you went to cloudpartners.transform.microsoft.com, you can get more information on it in there, because it's all within there, the Cloud Accelerator program.
Cool. Another update then was regarding Business Voice. If you have utilized Business Voice and used Startup Wizard that Microsoft had created, so this really kind of takes you through step-by-step guides of how to get it started. That's actually retiring. So at the end of June, the Getting Started Wizard is retiring. However, it's being replaced by a whole new Teams admin experience. So the thing is, as Mike sort of alluded to earlier, in terms of the updates that come in around Teams and the calling capabilities and the features and functions, having to keep up that whole process is actually how we deploy this as well. So in terms of that getting started wizard, that's just basically just being updated, really, one for the wet one.
Yeah, if you are starting up with Business Voice as of the 1st of June, which watching this, it's past the 1st of June now, so welcome to the future. You've essentially already started seeing this new admin experience because that kicked off as of then. But yeah, it's due to finish the Getting Started Wizard pretty soon. And on the back of Business Voice, the promotions which were in place have been extended, haven't they, Nicola?
They have indeed. Yep, they've been extended. So these should have gone out in April, I think, the end of April, and then they've got extended once again. So they've been extended for another 6 months. So you get 25% off Business Voice for the full suite, and you get 33% off without the calling plans. So if you want to take the minutes yourself, or you want to find your own telco when it comes into that, then you can do it with calling or direct routing if you want to use your own telecommunications partner.
And something which just recently launched as of the 27th of May, if the data is reading correct in my head, is something called Operator Connect, which is now visible in Teams. Currently, there are only 6 operators in the UK, but what this enables you to do as the operator is you have a deeper integration into your Teams platforms, and it allows you to enhance and streamline the Microsoft Teams phone experience around anything networking, provisioning, management, and all of your reporting APIs as well. So again, that same website as before, cloudpartners.transform.microsoft.com, and you can actually read about the announcement within there, which, yeah, was a really, really nice segue into it, Nicola.
So you see what I've done there? Teed you up, let you hit it out the park.
Yeah. Hit it for 6.
Cool. So webinars. So Teams webinars launch for the last 2 weeks. So essentially these are customizable. So you can register for these at aka.ms.introducing webinars. More information about that, Mike?
Yeah, just the couple of things with the updates and which they're showing, which we've now recently seen, is something called the weather person view. So if you were to share your screen, instead of just sharing a screen and it looking like a screen, you actually appear as you, essentially, in the front of everything.
We have showed Martyn how to do this at the end.
Yeah, I've got to ask, is it actually called the weather person view?
It's not. Unfortunately, it's actually called, I think it's called Standout, it's called. I would have loved it to have been called the weather person view.
To be fair, Mike did phone me. He's like, have you seen the new update? Have you seen the new update? So this is why I gave him the little tee up on this one, because he was very excited when he phoned me up and goes, look what I can do now. But we have shown you, so Martyn will do it at the end.
We'll give it a go. We'll give it a go.
No, you can do it. It's fine. If I
can do it, I will do it.
And then just on the Teams devices, I know that there's partners out there such as yourselves who are having conversations with us around where you can spend co-op, or essentially what's actually coming with Teams, because Teams calling experiences and these devices are out there for you to kind of get a grasp on and really enhance those experiences. You can find out more information about those which are actually certified Teams devices at ak.ms/Teams devices. Nice and simple for you.
We'll put all the links at the bottom though.
Oh,
we
yes.
do have a huge stretch of links today. One other thing that we didn't probably fail to mention a little bit was Inspire. So the registrations are open for Inspire, which is the 14th and 15th of July. So nicely timed just before I go on my little hollybobs, essentially.
And I'm surprised you haven't announced anything about the Windows event.
Yes, the Windows event, 26th of June.
Late
I'm
June.
going to say.
Yeah.
End of June. Yes. So we don't really know a huge amount about it. We just know that there's going to be a live, again, we'll put the link in below with regards to the update of what the next
iteration
iteration. That's the word I was looking for, and I was like, it just had one of those moments. What the next iterations of Windows will be? So it can't be Windows 11 because they said that Windows 10 was the last iteration. If I could even say that on a Friday afternoon,
we're going to end up with so many comments or messages with people going, "How can you be silly? So silly! It's going to be Windows 11. They've teed it up like that." And it's like,
didn't they say it was the last one? I mean, I remember when we all rolled out Windows 10 in retail, and it was from Windows 8, and they said it was that's it. It's Windows 10, and it's just the updates from there. So, I mean,
I don't want to spark any debates. New Windows event. Leave it at that.
24th of
I like
June.
sparking a debate. You know that, Martyn.
It'll be conspiracy theories and everything, though.
But they're the conspiracy theories anyway, so let's just jump on board.
Well, I've heard one conspiracy or rumor, if you like, for a better word, that it might be called Windows Cloud. That's not from any reputable source. That's just something that kind of was out there, you know. It's might even just be what I'm looking at, Window Cloud. You know, I don't know. One piece of news that is quite important, obviously for those who are watching who still might be using Skype for Business, they're asked the question, good why? Catch. But it's retiring on 31st of July this year, so 2021. You should have already seen some messaging come through from Microsoft with regards to migrating from one to Teams. And if you've not, then you can head to the link ak.ms/migrate to Teams. That will just give you a bit more information about what to expect if you're a partner who has customers utilizing these. Also, how you can best give your customers better service, essentially, from that migration piece as well. And then there's one more that I can see, Nicola. Would you like?
The MS700. No, do you know what? I'm happy for you to, whilst you're on a roll, you seem like you're enjoying life. So who am I to stop that?
I am loving life, Nicola, because it's Friday afternoon and I'm going to decorate afterwards. So,
exciting.
Oh, I know. But for those of you who are interested in Teams, again, Teams seems to be the theme. MS700 prep. So a little while ago, Microsoft had announced some training that did come at the time with some exam vouchers. They're probably not in place right now anymore because those events have finished. However, you can still watch them on demand. So you'd still receive the same prep as what everybody else did. They're just available on demand now. There are still some technical workshops which haven't taken place yet. So you can still register for those live as well. And this link, I'm not even going to say it because it's that long, so it'll take us over time. But we'll put this one definitely in the description below because it's the biggest link out of all of them that we can see.
Those two, though, just be mindful. We say they're coming, but it's like the 15th and 16th of June. So if you're watching this past the 16th of June, like you're going to have to catch them up on demand, essentially.
Yep. It's BB
just
like
saying.
Is it Tina Turner? If I could turn back time, is that it? Is that
so
That's not Tina Turner, is it?
I don't know who's that.
Cher.
Oh, is it Cher? There we go. There's my music knowledge.
Brilliant. I suppose she's American. I mean,
Got the right area of the world.
I think Tina Turner's Motown, though, isn't she? Cher's pop.
I don't know.
Completely. But to be fair to play to you, you did sing, and there you go. You see,
all I'll say, Mike, is it's a good job you're working in modern workplace talking about Teams.
I'm not on the radio talking about music.
So that kind of brings us to a close this month. I'm apparently doing what's it called? Standout. Weather person.
Standout mode, yeah.
And it's what? Look at our lovely faces. So if you want to join us on LinkedIn, send us any messages, ask us any questions, whatever you fancy doing, you can find us. We on the screen. There's QR codes or our names or the links, whatever you want to do to connect. Fine, go ahead, do that. We do like hearing from people. So yeah,
send Mike some more pop questions because clearly he hasn't been doing many quizzes in lockdown, have you?
No, I have. I didn't. Well, Nicola's educated me on what the Queen's parade or something is, colour of the parade.
Troop in the colour, yeah?
That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Mike.
Taught me that well. I forgot the names.
Let's see what I'm working with here, guys.
Okay, I think that's a good note to close. Thank you for listening, everyone, and we'll be back next month.
See you soon.
Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.